I've quickly written the proof of concept script that we used in order to test this crash. And basically what we do here is we define a 2000 byte buffer. We recreate the GET request and we send it to the NNM application on the correct port. After playing with several buffer lengths, we found that a buffer of 4000 bytes will produce the best crash in terms of exploitation. So let's see what happens when we do that. I'll quickly attach Ollie to the process that we want to debug. And let's run our proof of concept script. So it takes some time, but eventually you'll see that we get the following crash. Now the most interesting part of this crash is the structured exception handler, which gets overwritten by our buffer. The next steps will involve the usual process of exploit development. We'll try to identify where these 4 bytes lie inside our buffer so that we can control this address and hence control the execution flow of our application. We'll quickly browse to the Metasploit framework directory and create a unique buffer string of 4000 bytes. We'll take these bytes and we'll insert them into our exploit. And once again, we'll run this and see how OVAS responds. Alright, so we get a similar crash, and we can see that these are the bytes in the unique buffer that overwrite our structured exception handler. So let's quickly find out what these bytes are. And it's 45, 37, 69, 45, which brings us to 3,381 bytes until this offset is reached. Alright, so let's edit our exploit accordingly. And see whether we can exactly overwrite our structured exception handler and get the ability to redirect the application to our own defined space. So we'll quickly get rid of this. And let's put 3,381 A's plus 4 B's and the remainder of 615 C's. And we'll just double check within Ollie. We'll send our buffer. And once again, looking at the structured exception handler, we see that we have a clean overwrite. So essentially, if we allow execution, if we allow this exception to happen and press Shift F9, we currently control EIP, and we can redirect execution to any place in memory that we see fit. Now once again, as is standard with structured exception handler overrides, we'll usually find our user input in this location on the stack. We'll need to pop, and then return to this address. And there we will find the rest of our user input, as often happens with structured exception handler overrides. Let's quickly try to find a return address, which contains a pop-ret instruction set. To simplify and shorten this process, we'll be using the Windows tool FindJump in order to locate a proper return address. Inside the directory where the HP NNM DLLs are found, I've put in the tool FindJump. And just execute FindJump and tell it to search any one of the main OpenView DLLs. And we're told that a pop return instruction set has been found at this address. So let's take a look and see whether this is a valid return address for us. Yes, wonderful, look at that. We've got a pop-ret instruction set at this address. So normally what we'd like to do is to copy this address and to paste it in our exploit. Let's quickly do that. Now take a good look at this return address, as identifying these bytes later on in memory will be crucial to the understanding of the exploitation process. So I'll quickly put in these bytes here. And resend this buffer to HP NNM. And we'll try to place a breakpoint at our return address to see whether we indeed control the execution flow.